When you think about fighting climate change, what comes to mind? Maybe giant seawalls or massive solar farms. But what if the most powerful defense isn't a wall at all, but a weather forecast? Today, we're diving into the incredible story of Vanuatu, an island nation that's on the absolute front lines, and how they're building a revolutionary defense system based entirely on information.
So here's our roadmap for this explainer. First, we'll get a real sense of what Vanuatu's up against. Then, we'll look at their game plan, the amazing tech they're rolling out, and, this is my favorite part, how they're blending modern science with centuries of local wisdom. We'll also cover the unbelievable hurdles they had to overcome, and finally, see the real-world impact of all this work.
All right, so first up, Vanuatu on the front line. Before we can even begin to appreciate the solution, we really have to understand the scale of the problem. For the people of Vanuatu, climate change isn't some distant, abstract idea. It is a daily, present danger.
And that reading, it isn't just a statistic on a spreadsheet. For the nearly 300,000 people living across 80 different islands, it means every planting season, every fishing trip, every new home being built. It's all a massive gamble against the forces of nature.
So, climate vulnerability. What does that actually mean? It's not just about how many storms you get. It's about your ability to see them coming, to withstand the hit, and to bounce back afterward. The real story here is about how Vanuatu decided to systematically build that capacity from the ground up. Which brings us right to their plan. So how do you fight back against a threat this overwhelming? Vanuatu's answer wasn't to build higher walls of concrete. It was to build a better system of information. This is the story of the VanKIRAP project.
Yeah, I know, it's a bit of a mouthful, but VanKIRAP is the name for this incredibly ambitious multi-year mission. You can think of it as an effort to build a nationwide defense shield, but one made entirely out of data, prediction, and knowledge.
And a project this huge? Well, it takes a village. It's got global funding from the Green Climate Fund, it pulls in regional scientific smarts from an organization called SPREP, and it's all guided by the deep, local know-how of the Vanuatu government. It's really the perfect marriage of global resources and local wisdom.
And the core goals here are all about one thing: action. This was never about writing fancy reports that just sit on a shelf. The entire mission was to get useful, actionable intelligence into the hands of everyone, from the engineers designing stronger roads to the farmers trying to decide the best day to plant their crops.
Which leads us to the tools themselves. And this is where it gets really cool. The best way to think about what they built is like a national nervous system. The hardware, all the sensors, are like the nerve endings, out there feeling what's happening. And the software? That's the brain, processing it all into a clear picture of the present and future.
The process is just so logical and powerful. It really breaks down into 3 key steps. First, you've got to collect the raw data from the land, the rivers, the ocean. Second, you have to process that mountain of data into useful intelligence. And third, and this is maybe the most important step, you have to deliver it in a way people can actually use to protect their homes and their livelihoods.
So these are those nerve endings out in the field, a really sophisticated network of sensors gathering real-time data on pretty much everything. We're talking automatic weather stations measuring rainfall, river gauges to give early flood warnings, ocean buoys, groundwater sensors, even high-tech drones and LiDAR, creating super detailed maps of the coastlines.
And this is where the magic happens. All that raw data doesn't just get locked away in a server room. It gets transformed into specific, easy-to-use tools. Engineers can go to the Climate Futures portal to help them design better infrastructure. Farmers get crop advice from a system called Oscar. And for folks living near one major river, the Sarakata flood dashboard gives them life-saving, real-time warnings right on their phones.
But here's what I think is the most brilliant part of this whole project. Its real genius isn't just in the technology. It's in how it weaves together that cutting-edge science with centuries of local, traditional knowledge.
The project leadership understood that both of these systems are incredibly powerful, right? A satellite can measure the sea surface temperature down to a fraction of a degree. But an elder fisherman can tell you what a subtle shift in the wind or the weird behavior of seabirds means for tomorrow's weather. By weaving these two streams together, you get a forecast that's not only more accurate, but one that's also deeply trusted by the people who depend on it.
And this wasn't just some vague idea. They actually built practical tools to do it. They created seasonal calendars that are based on local observations. They even launched a mobile app called Climate Watch, which empowers literally anyone to become a citizen scientist, recording their own observations of plants and animals and adding that to this growing, living library of climate wisdom.
Okay, so building a system like this sounds amazing on paper.
doesn't it? But the reality? Well, the reality was that the VanKIRAP project was tested by a series of crises so intense they would have completely derailed almost any other initiative.
I mean, just look at this timeline for a second. It is absolutely relentless. In 2020, you've got funding delays and a global pandemic that brings everything to a grinding halt. Then, in 2022, a massive cyber attack paralyzes the government's systems. And then, in 2023, as if that wasn't enough, not one, but three severe tropical cyclones slammed the country. They were literally fighting bureaucratic, technological, and natural disasters all at the same time while trying to build resilience to those very things. It's just staggering.
And yet, and this is the truly incredible part of the story, despite all of those obstacles, the project didn't just survive. It actually started to deliver tangible, life-saving results. So let's take a look at the impact.
Let's start with this number, 30,184. By the end of 2023, that's how many direct beneficiaries the project had reached. These are real people, farmers, community leaders, students, who now have climate information, tools, and training that they didn't have before, all because of VanKIRAP.
And you can just see the momentum building in this chart. As more of these tools and systems came online, the project's reach just exploded. It helped more than 3 times as many people in 2023 as it did the year before. This is what it looks like when a great idea really starts to hit its stride.
And all that work translates into real-world protection. A flood warning system for a major river is now up and running. Decades of old, paper-based weather records have been digitized, unlocking a treasure trove of data for future planning. And now, thanks to a partnership with the national broadcaster, daily climate reports are reaching the entire nation on TV and radio. This is what resilience looks like in action. So you have to ask, in a world that's changing faster than ever, is the best defense we have actually better information? The incredible story of VanKIRAP seems to suggest that for nations on the front line, resilience isn't just built from concrete and steel. It's built from data, from knowledge, and ultimately from the power to see what's coming next and the wisdom to act before it arrives.